Hello, welcome to SteegCast. We are back again from the dead. This month's episode, I should say, is another weird internet episode where we'll be covering the endless corridors of the internet, Alex Jones, the Roofman, and some questionable YouTube videos as well. So with me today, I have myself, Richard, we have Sean, Tom, and Gareth. And how are you chaps doing?
Not bad, son. Looks like Sean's enjoying his dinner over there.
He is, but yeah.
I'm just on my lunch break. Yeah, inside this lovely courtroom, which is relevant to my...
What you been done for, son?
Spreading misinformation and lies.
Classic.
Sued for millions, I heard.
Billions, nearly $1 billion.
We'll get to that.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
But yeah, we come back with the Weird Internet. Weird Internet is arguably our favourite episode of the season every time it rolls around, just because of the random nature of it. If you've never listened to or watched another Weird Internet that we've done. So I'm going to spin it off to Gareth. You've got some stuff on some, I guess, irritable internet stars and trends and a bit of history as well on it.
Yeah. Reaction videos, something that triggers me quite often, as you know. Especially in the past few days, obviously with the return of Blink-182 as well. There's been a plethora, shall we say, of reaction videos. For example, here's the music video. I'm going to watch the music video. Pretend like I've never seen it before. Every few seconds I'm going to pause it and I'm going to talk about it and tell you what's happening. Absolute flood of these type of videos. Everything from vocal coach reacts, bass player reacts, guitarist reacts, drummer reacts, you name it, they're reacting to it. Now this is, in my opinion, a very sloppy and lazy form of content creation, and certainly one that I can't personally get behind. So, one of the questions that I'm going to ask amongst ourselves and to our general audience is, how did we get here? How did we get to reaction videos as we know today? And where did things go ever so slightly wrong in terms of the word react? Now, I'll bring you back a little bit further into the loop. What can you guys remember in terms of reaction videos? I'll tell you what I can remember. Let's talk back to pre-YouTube even. You would have, for example, a video of a car traveling along a peaceful scenery. You think, oh, this is nice. This is a nice ambience. Then all of a sudden you're presented with a scary image, aren't you, flashing towards the screen? Now that was a reaction. That was a genuine reaction. You see what I mean? There was even a popular video which I believe was sort of stemmed off from a Saturday Night Live skit of the guy punching through the screen. You remember that one?
Oh shit! Well? Yeah.
I do remember.
That was a Scary Maze. Was that the Scary Maze?
Scary Maze, yeah. No, the Scary Maze was the other reaction video from that time.
Another one was Two Girls, One Cup. That was actually
put the words in my mouth.
Yeah.
This is where.
As long as there's only words.
This is where I personally believe, this is where the original form of reaction video was born. Two Girls, One Cup. I'm not sure if you'd agree with me on that, but I believe that was the original reaction video. And in a sense, people would watch the video, they'd film a friend or loved one, family member, etc. They'd film a genuine reaction to somebody seeing Two Girls, One Cup for the first time. So, I mean, that was, in my eyes, the first sort of wave
I can't
of
imagine
reaction
showing a family
videos.
member that, I'll be honest with you.
Well, no, but...
Oh, Nan!
Sure they don't care, but,
oh, Nan, watch this video.
yeah, but that was the birth, as far as I'm concerned, of the reaction video, especially the first wave of reaction videos. But we seem to got a little lost along the way somewhere in terms of reaction videos and reaction video creators, whatever you want to call them. We seem to got a little bit lost somewhere. And now everybody seems to want a piece of the pie, so to speak, in terms of reacting. I mean, I could react to something right now, for example. It's easy, it's lazy, it's sloppy. That's my take on it. Where do you stand on the current wave of reaction videos? Are there any particular things you've seen popping up that have sort of irritated you, stuff like that. I've mentioned obviously vocal coach reacts and things like that.
Is this a bit of comedy in itself? Is this a sketch? Because essentially you're just reacting to reaction videos.
Well, not particularly, no. But
oh, the irony.
Yeah, not particularly, no. But I mean,
we are the universe reacting to itself.
Reaction videos seems to be like about 90% of what I see. It's either that or the sort of hey guys, do you want to go to the mall? Yeah, no, I'll tag along, no problem. Or you've got the single person sort of acting with themselves.
What happens after that?
I don't know really. I mean, that was sort of popularized in the sort of early YouTube days as well. You'd have like people like originally you'd have like Shane Dawson, people like that would sort of do it. Maybe they'd put a wig on or something. The second part of the character, but I mean, the birth of TikTok, that's sort of seen that creep back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's all I've got to say in the matter, really.
For me, videos. With reaction videos, I actually I put out a tweet not too long ago that said that reaction videos are the lowest form of content creation, and I firmly believe that. Yeah, screen dump. I firmly believe that because it is just lazy, and you see, like, fair enough, reacting to something brand new to see a genuine reaction, or chuck in like ancient technology in front of clueless kids. That's kind of like an early example of early day reacts.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough because it's kind of interesting to see kids be completely clueless about like a Walkman or something.
I was going to say I left that out as well. Obviously, elders react, kids react and stuff.
But
that was just sort of. Maybe that's where things started to change after that, perhaps, though.
It's when like you see people who are reacting to like I don't know, Blink-182, All the Small Things, and you think that song has been played to death for the last 20 years. There's no way you've gone your whole life without hearing that somewhere. That annoys me and then it's like the overtop reaction that they get from it, you know, and all this stuff. You're like, oh God, come on. I don't agree with it.
I mean, my take on it is you've got people reacting to 30, 40-year-old pieces of media that are household names, things that everybody has seen, and all of a sudden somebody will make a reaction video to it.
I disagree completely. I love reaction videos.
Oh yeah,
I do. In regards to the lowest form of media, I think it's got to be like those regurgitated like news pieces that like
Looper and stuff like that.
Yeah, Looper, this like film and TV and stuff, and you got like metal websites and stuff do it, and it's just like
I can agree
3-minute information video which has no information in it. It's complete bullshit. It's total, and I guess like stuff popular, like TMZ and stuff is the main like Hollywood kind of gossip shit.
I see that a lot in like the
clickbait.
I see that a lot in the wrestling world. I see a lot of that as well. It's just like articles that lead nowhere. Essentially, they tell you
it's
nothing.
like wrestler X said this. 3-minute video. It actually tells you absolutely nothing, and it's just like, well, what the hell did I watch that? It's got like 4 million views.
If anyone's on Reddit and they hate this shit, there's a sub called "Saved You a Click," which somebody reads the article and they like post like a short synopsis. Saves you a bunch of time. Get on it. They owe me $5 now.
Yeah, but I love reaction videos. I watch them quite a lot because they keep popping up on my feed because I've watched reaction videos. Like, I know exactly the type of shit you're talking about. Like, there's no way if you're 30 or under or over, there's no way you've gone through this life and have not heard Blink-182. So you're lying. It's just it's fake, right? And there's other things in which obviously it is just lowest common denominator, just bullshit, you know, videos and stuff. And it is, like you said, it's easy. It's a concept that works. Someone's done it, and now everybody's doing it.
Exactly. Everyone's a piece of the pie.
There are some good ones. There's a vocal coach ones that I watch. There's one vocal coach in particular. I can't remember the name of the channel off the top of my head. They're great because like they stop everything when they actually explain like in depth about what's going on, stuff like that. So another ones I really like as well as Christians react to. Like the most intense like metal stuff. There's these two codes, I can't remember what they're called, but they did all the Cradle of Filth stuff, and they were like proper analysing the videos, like the music and stuff. They took like 45-minute videos about like I don't know, just about everything. And there's like I watched one recently when a pastor and his son listened to the song "Daddy" by Korn, which is about the singer from Korn being like raped as a child, and it's just like. It's the most awkward thing ever, man. It's just 20 minutes of like pure cringe, and not to take away from the seriousness of that song, but like, yeah, I mean, I do watch them quite often, and I find them quite interesting to watch. But I don't hate them as much. I know why you don't like them, but I don't hate them as much as you guys do.
So like, I think like with the reaction, there's a guy who I watch. He's a former music producer, Rick Beato.
I'm aware of him. Yeah.
He does something similar. He doesn't like, it's not him hearing the song for the first time, but he sort of breaks down tracks like instrument by instrument, basically.
Yeah. This is exactly what I was talking about with our vocal coach. That's exactly what happens. Obviously,
those videos are incredibly interesting, you know, and there's little bits in songs that I never even knew were there. You know, just like a synth in the background somewhere, and I'm thinking, there's a synth in the background of that.
Wasn't there one in What's Made You Again or something like that?
Yeah. It plays the same melody as the guitar. It's just, but you don't hear it, but it fills it out. When you take it out, you notice it. That's
so a very common practice. That is.
It is.
To
it
like
is. Yeah.
Boost like a chorus or whatever. It's to just emphasize a certain melody or whatever.
Yeah, it's very popular in pop punk. That synth, adding a synth to a main guitar line. It's very popular in pop punk. I've learned. So there we go.
So I watched the Scottish man Brian Limond quite a bit, and he does like, you know, he posts like clips of reaction videos or him reacting to stuff on YouTube and things, but he just kind of shits on it. Is what you hate about reaction videos the fake kind of forcing themselves to enjoy it, or is it like not giving a genuine opinion, or is it reaction videos themselves?
I think it's the fakery with it a lot of the time. I really do. Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Over the top reaction to something as well.
Got a ghost.
Let's talk about Limmy though, Tom. Let's talk about Limmy, because that's a whole different thing altogether. What Limmy's doing.
What? Twitch streaming.
But no, it's often reactions. For example, James Corden.
James fucking Corden. Oh my god, I'm a James Corden. I love it.
I love his passionate hatred towards James Corden.
He fires up. He gets all
passion.
Gets all red in the face. No, James Corden is a fucking bell, man. To be fair, you know, he's the embodiment of the reaction videos. James Corden is.
There's a good YouTube channel called Sunny V2 who actually does a video on James Corden and why he's so hated. Which is pretty good.
There's a few.
But that's that. I watched that earlier. Actually, it was very good.
I watched one of them on Brendan Schwab. Do you know Schwab?
Schwab.
No. He's in the Joe Rogan clique, but he had a massive downfall. Was a UFC fighter, gone comedian, but he just tanked them both. Like,
oh jeez.
Yeah. It's a funny story. That is, if you want to get into it. It's not wine, by the way. It's squash. If anyone's wondering.
That's a very posh looking squash, man.
Yeah.
It's literally from M&S.
Yeah, you've got things like Limmy, Justin Hawkins sort of does quite a good, and that's sort of like a reaction type of thing, isn't it?
Justin Hawkins has no excuse to be going around judging everyone's music. I've seen him ripping into like bands and stuff, and I'm like,
pretty popular one that is.
You cannot be like, you know, I guess because he's obviously not taking it super seriously, is he? But you know, I'm just like, come on, man.
A lot of the stuff he does is very complimentary though. And some of them have got like a clickbaity sort of title to it. But when you watch it, he's extremely complimentary, you know, towards it. So, that
reminds me of Steve-O's podcast. He's always like, the soundbite to that are always like him slagging people off and that. And you actually listen to like the full episode.
They rip on Bam Margera in that cast. If he ever watches it, man. Oh, Christ.
But people love negativity, don't they?
His money.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, people flock to negativity, so that's why you get those clickbait titles. Negativity sells. That's the gist of it, like.
And Justin Hawkins obviously knows what he's doing there, obviously, like. So, I mean, that's all I wanted to say really on reaction videos. If no one's really got anything to sort of add to it, whatever, but.
So it's essentially the falseness. Does that come like obviously though with YouTube and all that does come outside of that as well? Like people got to put up what I think is like a YouTube front these days. Yeah. You know, if you face the match, you fucked kind of thing. Really, at the end of the day, innit?
Well, it's just entertainment industry, isn't it?
That's
really?
The biz. That's what we call in showbiz.
If you face don't fit.
Face don't fit.
People say it all the time in like offices and clicks, and if your face don't fit, it's like I've had that said.
I've never heard that.
You've never heard that before. No. That's because your face fits, Rich. Because your face fits. You're in. You were in the click.
Never had to stand in an elevator.
I didn't even know it.
I got into an elevator in my place of work, which shall remain nameless. I was wearing my Daggerfall t-shirt, and I had my headset on, big headset like this, and I turned it off because I don't like getting to lift with music blasting in case people are trying to move around me and stuff, and it's packed. And these two people behind me said, "What do you think he's listening to?" And I was like, this should be interesting. And they were murmuring amongst themselves, and someone said, "Sounds of the Shire" by the fucking looks of his jacket. I was like, what the fuck is the Sounds of the Shire? But
Sean, you have your topic is on Alex Jones and the latest developments on him, which have been mind-boggling, really.
They have been mind-boggling. So I don't follow Alex Jones. We spoke about him a lot before in the cast, in the David Icke stuff, and we've had like standalone segments and stuff on him. In the earlier Weird Internets, funny enough, going back to Weird Internet 1, I think. But recently, as I'm sure you've probably heard, because he was like proper mainstream news, he was sued. I don't think he was he sued, but he went to court for damages about all the shit he was saying about the Sandy Hook being fake, and all the kids were like actors and shit. All the parents were actors, and nothing really happened. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, he's been he has to pay like $930 million, which is basically $1 billion in dollars in damages, which is insane, really. That kind of ruling, like, so it's like, I mean, obviously, I don't care about Alex Jones and his money, right? But what I thought it'd be best to bring this up, because we spoke a lot about conspiracy theorists in the past, and a lot of our earlier episodes did actually center on conspiracy theories, like flat Earth and so on. So, is this a landmark case in the tide turning on? Like, what kind of precedent does this set? I know this is an extreme case because obviously there's a lot of hurt people involved if he's saying that this didn't happen. He's like basically denying that happened. He's setting his fans on these people and saying like, this is fake. None of these people's grief is real. But what kind of precedent does this set if people like David Icke or Alex Jones or any other conspiracy theorist, as it were, could possibly be prosecuted or fined for saying things which aren't true?
Like the state of Israel versus David Icke or something.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, I don't know. What do you guys? First off, nice easy question. What do you guys make of all this? Like, because we've obviously talked a lot about Alex Jones in the past, where he's back in like bang right in the mainstream media with all of this.
He's at a net worth of minus 900 million. Like, I can't even wrap my head around that, but I don't know. It depends on so many things. Like this, like Alex Jones, he's a character, and there was only one of him, I suppose. I think the people that follow him religiously and take him seriously, for there to be people that are doing that is worrying. And the reason that he was sued and all that's so bad, I suppose, is because his followers were sending death threats and things. And the thing that is on my mind with stuff like that is, should somebody be held accountable for what their followers do? Like Donald Trump with January, the Capitol. Yeah. Like,
this is almost identical case to that, isn't it? Realistically,
don't like Donald Trump, but I don't think he should be held accountable for what his followers whatever do. Like,
but I guess it's the proof of insight in it, that like you are the catalyst, you were the reason that it happened, essentially. But like Sean says, that does set a dangerous precedent for anything. If you accidentally start something, if you have a huge following and you say something that was just, a throwaway comment about something, and then your like most loyal fans take that as as scripture, they'll just run with it and try and mow down various people or whatever, and you could, I guess, for your comments, get caught up in it because of that. But I think the Alex Jones thing, though, he really took it. To say he took it too far, he didn't need to take it anyway, but he did, and like,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he kept going on and on and on and on about it. He didn't need to.
That's one of the reasons I was thinking, like he's like the opposition, he's like saying all these crazy outlandish shit to move, and then filtering in one or two kind of true things, or saying the true things in such an outlandish way that people just won't believe them full stop. For example, the human-pig hybrids is true. Google it. Is true. It's just he kind of said it in such a way that people just didn't understand it. They couldn't comprehend it. All it is cell... what is it? Fucking cell therapy. What's that shit called?
I'm not sure what you mean, sorry.
I don't know.
Cell research, man. I'll have a look in a bit. Don't worry about it. But yeah, he just puts things so over the top and everything that you're just not going to believe anything he says. And then somebody comes later than him and says it again. They're going to be like, "Oh, you've just been speaking to that Alex Jones guy. You're a nut." Like, he discredits anything he touches.
Yeah, that happens
Definitely.
when you get caught out too many times. Basically, on stuff you get called out and it's proven wrong, and then. Or it's just not even proven wrong. It's just so out there that people just go, "Nah, you're full of shit," and that then gets stuck to you. I guess like David Icke is the same in that regard. His early days in the 80s and 90s, where he was, shell suit wearing 90s. Was it shell suit wearing, claiming to be the second coming and whatever. That kind of ruined his career going forward.
I know. I need to defend him here because he's the son of the Godhead, so chosen by the Dreamer, the one true being that controls the fucking universe to send this message to Earth.
He's not just a prophet, though.
More or less, yeah. He is the prophet, and he had his early books, because I've read two of them for some fucking reason, is basically just like end times. This will happen, then that will happen, then this will happen. And it was all in like 1997. It was supposed to happen, and it didn't happen. So and then he was just like lizards. A lot of the early stuff is stones and crystals, ley lines, healing the earth, all that weird hippy dippy shit. To be fair, hence the turquoise suits and colours and all this aura and aura shit. I don't know. Not to defend David Icke, but there we go. But yeah, I mean, so have you heard of some of the crazy shit that's happened in this trial that he's been, because he's a character, but it doesn't seem to, there's no off switch, I don't think.
He was
by the
like
looks of it.
Posting videos of like the judge and the attorney that he was against like on fire and stuff like that, was it?
It's all sorts of mad shit. And he's like, there's one of him like of the video being, the verdict being read out on the InfoWars like Alex Jones show, and he's just like shouting alongside it, "They will not get the money. Where's the money coming from?" Blah, blah, blah. And then there's like there's videos of him refusing to apologize to parents that are in court like opposite him for the things that he said. So I'm done with apologizing. Blah, blah, blah. And another thing, and this is the biggest fuck up of them all, is that one of the prosecutors or maybe the lawyers of one of the families was he had Alex Jones' entire phone history accidentally sent to him by Alexis Jones's lawyer.
Ooh.
So they had every single thing that he'd done with his phone for like the past 3 years, which you can imagine, like fuck knows what's on there. But also contradicted many of the statements he'd been given and many of the things he'd been saying to these like either the defense or the prosecution, I guess. And it's just been a shit show. So a guy is just running rings around himself, and it's been ridiculous. But he's definitely in a lot of money trouble because. In the company he has that runs InfoWars is valued because he sells like loads of shit through InfoWars, like all like survival gear
supplements and all that. Yeah, a lot of that shit's got lead in it and stuff. Apparently, I don't know how true that is, but yeah, I wouldn't take anything Alex Jones gives.
God.
But apparently, independent financial advisors or whatever value Alex Jones between 130 and 230. I think million. So he has not got the money to pay this. So I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm surprised he's worth that much.
Yeah, same. I thought that. I was like, Jesus. He's just moved a 50 million Austin, Texas mansion into his wife's name, which is smart thinking. But it's not going to be. I'd be interested to see how this.
Imagine his wife leaves him. Oh God.
I think he came from a rich family as well, mind. I think he started with a leg up. I don't think he earned all that money on his own, is what I'm saying.
I don't actually know much about him at all, really. I know, like, he's been a conspiracy theorist into the, like, early 90s, really. Like, stormed that... What's that place with the big owl statue?
Oh, Grove, something... Bohemia's...
Bohemia Grove or something.
I think so.
Like, he went in there with a VHS camera and stuff, like, way back when. So he's been doing this shit for a while. I know he started raising fundraisers and stuff, for dollars or crypto donations to, which he says are to fight this injustice rather than pay off the families, which arguably deserve this compensation for all the shit they've gone through. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. I've just basically gone through the last week or so of drama around Alex Jones, but I don't know where this leaves him. I'll be interested to see.
I suppose context is a lot of it too. You got like comedians and stuff. If this is the precedent that's been set, then there's nothing to say any comedian can't get just pulled into court. Like, well, look at all the Jade Goody jokes, That
kind of stuff Andrew Schultz is chucking out lately.
Exactly. I fucking love Schultz.
It's great.
I guess what I missed out of my initial intro to this, what I missed out of it, and what you guys have both picked up on, is that if anybody else picks up on that and goes, yeah, that's the truth, or yeah, this guy said that, I'm going to keep harassing you for it. And then it becomes not just he said it, but you have received like IRL harassment over said misinformation. I think, like you said, it's the incitement, isn't it? The element of incitement, which is possibly what's led to all of this.
It's like what if Frankie Boyle had a rabid fan base that bombarded Rebecca Adlington, telling her she looked like the back of a spoon, which kind of happened in a way, but like on a massive scale, to the point where something bad could have really happened to her. Seeing that all the time. Would if that had happened and then like her family sued Frankie Boyle, would they have grounds to?
I don't know. I thought Jordan tried to sue him over the Harvey jokes, which are pretty bad, to be fair. But I don't know. I don't think that went anywhere. I'll be honest.
I think it's like the cause of the joke. So say like the cause of the joke was the root cause of someone killing themselves, for example. Would they then have a case to sue?
This goes back to like the 90s where fans had killed themselves over music and stuff. I think Him had a lot of bother with this over the song Join Me, which was originally called Join Me in Death in the original release, and then it got re-released as Join Me. But like, yeah, if you've got the actual album it was on, Razor Blade Romance, again, bit dodgy. If you've got that, it's called Join Me in Death. On Love Said No, it's called Join Me. It was called Join Me from that point onwards.
I guess like the emo movement of the mid-2000s had a lot of that as well,
At what point,
Hawthorne Heights and whatnot.
I think that's it, like at what point do you take responsibility for yourself and stop being influenced by these external things, is what it comes down to, really, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like violence in video games, so where do you stop in this, isn't it? They blamed like Doom for Columbine, and it's just like, what?
And they blame it on Marilyn.
That's a really good song, and a really good point as well, actually, that, isn't it? Look where it's at now. It's a tragedy. Middle America. Yeah. Eminem was a very angry young man.
Now he's just rich and likes running.
Guy can pump out albums, mind. Fuck me, he doesn't stop. Like, he used to be a 2-3 year gap between records, and now he's just like, I don't know if someone's shown him how to use Fruity Loops, but he's just banging out the album.
Fucking Fruity Loops.
It's like, now that you're rich, man, you can literally just make these in your house. Tidy.
So yeah, after that bit of explosive information on Alex Jones's part, I think it's time to switch over to the other end of the internet, in the endless corridors that Tom is going to take us through now.
I'm pretty sure that anyone with a keen eye knows where mine's going, but I'm gonna keep it under wraps for those uninitiated, I suppose. Essentially, I've had documents sent through to me from a reliable source, not Alex Jones, I assure you. I'm just gonna
or his lawyer.
Or his lawyer. I'm just gonna kind of.
I hope this finds you well. I do regret that this has to be sent, as the document will later reveal. The following is classified information that I don't believe even the government is privy. It involves the discovery of liminal spaces and the parties' attempt to purposefully infiltrate, assess, and use these spaces for their own gain. I only know what I know. What information other facilities or parties may have gathered is unknown at this time. Nobody wishes to publicly acknowledge the existence of this thing for possible fear of being outcast as insane. like an attempt to submit evidence of the paranormal or aliens, but this is real as it can get, which is why the document is primed on a dead man's switch, in hopes that if something does happen to me, the evidence will leak. The name of the parties involved and the location have been redacted or left vague for privacy concerns. Firstly discovered following the disappearance of Redacted, an old war vet at their home, a rundown bungalow in suburban America, 2 officers, Redacted and Redacted, were called to the scene for a welfare check by a concerned neighbour. The officers, after knocking several times and checking the rest of the property for any signs of distress, entered the home at 10:37 p.m. after noticing some damage at the rear door of the property that had joined onto the kitchen. By 10:45 p.m, they were reporting to dispatch about something unusual that they had found at the centre of the living room. The occupant of the house, Redacted, was nowhere to be seen. The following is a transcribed report from the officers. Call opens.
Dispatch, we've completed a preliminary sweep of the property as advised. No sign of the tenant. We're currently standing in the front room. I'm unsure how to report this, but there's something unusual here. Might want to send forensics to check it out. Over.
Unusual how? Over.
As we entered the living room, we proceeded with a standard sweep. When that was completed, officers moved into the center of the room. There's a heavy rug that looked like it was recently misplaced, about 3 feet wide by 8 feet long. It was as though the corner had been surgically cut, but when we inspected it further, the rest of the rug was inside the floor.
Clarification. Was there a hole in the living room floor? Over.
Negative, dispatch. Visually, there is no hole in the living room floor. Prior to inspecting the rug, we proceeded to the basement in response to the welfare check and didn't discover anything else. Checking the ceiling of the basement, there's also no hole leading up to the living room.
Clarification, officer. Why is this unusual?
The rug is disappearing into nothing. Holy shit! Dispatch, call for backup! Just fell to the floor. Repeat! Has disappeared!
Officers in the area are on their way. Sit tight.
And when the backup arrived, there was no sign of either of the officers. Since this incident, we have received many reports of similar circumstances, people disappearing never to be seen again, strange doors that appear out of place that previously didn't exist, walls that are slightly darker than their surroundings and cast no shadow. We've even had reports of people disappearing as they were walking down a hallway with no explanation. Eyewitnesses state that the collies didn't even have time to scream as they fell through the floor. We have designated the area in which they end up the Backrooms. I have been researching this phenomenon ever since this incident 20 years ago. I have only ever come into contact with one surviving victim, Dr. Michael Dawson. The horrors that Dr. Dawson had encountered had left him amnesiac. As a way to shield his psyche from the reality that he had faced, he has undertaken a very wide variety of medical examination and therapy, and he has recently begun to recollect what has happened to him. Due to extreme PTSD, he is currently being housed at Redacted Medical Facility. FaceTime is very rare. He hasn't completely regained rationality, but who could after what he's gone through? Dr. Dawson claimed that whilst he was out jogging one day, he had simply fallen through the ground. He found himself lying on a moist, damp, yellow carpet. The stink was almost unbearable, like mold left unchecked in an unventilated room. The next thing he noticed was the noise. There was a distinct humbuzz of fluorescent lighting that was so loud that he feared that the bulbs could burst at any second. The noise was unrelenting and migraine-inducing, causing him to feel unwell. He managed to get to his feet and tried to find the hole in which he fell through, which there was none. He discovered that he was in a box room plastered with a monotone yellow wallpaper that was equally as disgusting as the floor. Dr. Dawson stated that the whole area felt like an office space, but there were no desks, no doors, no windows that he could see. It was an empty, abandoned area. He stated that it felt like somebody was always in the next room over, waiting for him, and when he'd walk into that room, he'd be sure that they were in the next one over, urging him to wander deeper and deeper into the halls, heightening his anxiety whenever he realized that nobody was there, but maybe in the next room. He followed on by saying, "God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you." He had no idea how long he'd been wandering for. Each hallway dressed up to look exactly the same. It could have been days or weeks. Time moves differently in the Backrooms. The one thing that stood out mostly to him was that no matter how far that he had walked, no matter how many rooms looked exactly the same, he'd never found another person. Yet he constantly had the feeling that he was being watched, and the anxiety of expecting someone around every corner made his heart pound. Each room was like a corridor, leading to another corridor, which sometimes led to expansive open areas. None of the decor was any different. They all had that horrid yellow wallpaper. The carpet was moist and would give off a red residue that Dawson tried not to get on his skin, and the humbuzz of fluorescent lighting was maddening. Eventually, Dawson stumbled upon an elevator. It had its key code painted on the walls like some taunting juvenile puzzle. He entered the code into the elevator and it clanged to life. He stepped out hesitantly onto the floor. The carpet was again damp and yellow. The walls were very much the same as previously. The distinct difference was that he could recognize straight away was that this floor was dimly lit compared to the previous, with the fluorescent bulbs still emitting the dull hum buzz, pulsating, growing bright, and then fading away. On occasion, he said that he could hear them pop in the distance, then the hum would stop, giving a brief respite for his aching head, only for him to be enveloped in the deathly silence that sent shivers up his spine. Then the humbuzz would start all over again. I have interviewed Dr. Dawson only once, and whilst questioning him, attempting to gain information about the hounds, that's when his demeanour would revert to clear signs of trauma, for he was correct in stating that there were no people in the Backrooms at that time. But he was definitely not alone. He found the hounds difficult to describe. He would make reference to a being that resembled a hybrid dog and a human. The origins of the entity were unclear, possibly a grotesque metamorphosis of this unknown environment. Or was the environment his home to begin with? Dawson stated that when he first saw a hound, albeit at a distance and dimly lit, he thought it was a person positioned on all fours. It has long black hair covering its face and a contorted human body doubled over in a sickly dog-like stance. Initially, he felt relieved that they could help. With slight confusion, he stood in place looking at his potential saviour. He noticed that it wasn't moving. It was staring right back at him. To Dawson's surprise, he heard a fluorescent tube explode to his left side, out of sight down another infinity yellow corridor. Startled, he turned his head. Then he heard the thudding of the footsteps in front of him. As soon as he broke eye contact, that's when the hound started making a beeline straight for him. Seeing the way that it moved and how his perception had made it seem like a lot smaller when it was further away, he knew that he was in serious trouble. The hound's long claws gripped into the sodden carpet as it sprinted directly at him. Its eclipsed white eyes wouldn't break contact as its black hair parted, uncovering an extremely large mouth with knife-like white teeth. Dawson can't remember exactly what happened next. He regained consciousness in a locker like you'd find in a gym. He stayed inside for what seemed like an eternity, his muscles seizing up, and he had a searing pain in his right cheek, which turned out to be a scram mark. He remained inside the locker until he had convinced himself that the creature had gone, or that he was hallucinating. Slowly and quietly, he crept from his hiding place. Weirdly, the locker was the only thing that he had seen resembling something other than the damp yellow surroundings around him. Dawson wandered through the halls again for days or weeks, he was unsure. Eventually, a team of agents from Redacted, wearing a full hazmat suit stumbled upon him. Dawson keeps saying that before they saw him, the agents were muttering about something called Project Gaia. I'm unsure as to what this is referencing, and if I return, I will look into this further. As for now, I am scheduled to join a team that's entering the Backrooms for the first time in 20 years. I'll be able to experience it for myself. I won't lie to you, I'm afraid, but to discover something about this place would be incredible. I hope this document never reaches you. Stay safe. Redacted.
A bit of a weird one, but quite interesting one at the same time. It's a bit of a bizarre one.
Backrooms, and a bit of 401 as well. I mean, that one is the first documented case of an alleged haunting on an airplane that I've seen. Apparently, there is a big backstory behind it. 401, look into it. Gareth, I think you'd enjoy that as well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sean's gone. Do you want to explain a bit about that?
Yeah, Sean had fatherly duties to attend to, so he's he's not going to be with us for the rest of the cast, unfortunately. We've only got one topic left, which is the one that I brought to the table, which is the story of the Roofman. Now, I'll ask first, are either of you familiar with the Roofman? Ever heard of the Roofman?
I know the day man.
It sounds like sort of like a roofer, sort of.
You'd think, yeah.
Cartwright roofing.
Roofing, scatterings, tile replacement, sort of checking over for as the weather changes now, you might want to check the roofs and stuff, so your tiles are in place for the windy weather, things like that, perhaps.
I'm glad you're putting out this PSA, Gareth. I appreciate that. Less research is the better.
It's worth checking as the seasons change. It's worth checking. Obviously, check your heating is working, everything's regulated. You might want to bleed your radiators, things like that. Obviously, the weather's going to get worse, rain, wind and stuff. Check the tiles and all that. Look, nothing's loose, things like that. Guttering again can be a problem with heavy rainfalls. That could lead to overspilling, things like that. It's worth checking all this stuff.
Sealant and
sort
grouting.
of transition into the next season now. It's definitely worth checking
your
all that.
sealant and grouting as well, because that's probably not covered under any of your insurance policies.
That's another thing. Sealing, grouting, window seals, little things like that as well. It all adds up. Make sure your home is as insulated as you can get it. Maybe if you do suffer from damp, mold, condensation, you can invest in dehumidifier as well. That's always good. Anyway, though, Roofman, I've absolutely no idea. First I've ever heard of it. I've heard of Dayman. I haven't heard of Roofman, though. So
that was great life advice and house advice from SteegCast, but it has nothing to do with this story whatsoever. So I'll just get into this. This is more of a Tom style reading, so I'm just going to read through this. I'll stop along the way, hopefully, and you can jump in with your thoughts. So, in May 2000, Jeffrey Allen Manchester would rob a McDonald's in Belmont, North Carolina. He waited on top of the roof and cut a hole to drop 10 to 15 foot into the restaurant, first thing in the morning, before it opened to the public, while the staff were getting ready to open. He was armed with a rifle, but wouldn't threaten any staff and was very calm, politely asking workers to stay on the ground or in the freezer while he emptied the safe, even encouraging them to grab their jackets to stay warm. This is but one account of Jeffrey's robberies since 1998. He had robbed various video stores and grocery stores throughout the US in over 9 different states. However, his favourite targets were McDonald's chains. He worked out pretty much all of the restaurants across the country, worked to the same shift patterns and opening and closing hours, as well as having a similar layout, so he was able to plan his robbery fairly quickly using the same method I mentioned earlier, with some exceptions being cutting holes in walls.
You'll have the same kind of floor plan and stuff like.
Yeah, it was what are they called? Franchises. They're all so they all have the same floor plans and stuff like that. Most of them, not all of them, but he worked this out. Excuse me. So, a little background on Jeffrey Allen Manchester shows that he lived a pretty normal life, graduating from Cordova High School in Rancho Cordova, California in 1991, and going on to become a sergeant in the US Army Reserves and reportedly trained in a number of different areas. This include airborne training at Fort Bragg in North Carolina, air assault training at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and several courses involving operating of military vehicles, including becoming a watercraft operator at Fort Eustis in Virginia. He was married with 2 kids, but in 1998, the marriage had fallen apart and his wife had taken the kids, which left him all alone. It was at this time that he decided to put his training to other uses. So for 2 years, Jeffrey was known as the Roofman, or the rooftop robber, and all of his crimes were nearly identical, using the method mentioned earlier of cutting a hole in the roof, dropping down, locking employees in the freezer at gunpoint, but not by force, robbing the place and leaving. There was only one time where it was noted he pistol whipped someone and had a close call with the police on one occasion where he had to shoot the lock off one of the back doors to get out quickly. So, what was the significance of the Belmont McDonald's? So, he didn't lock the door to the freezer properly, and some of the staff managed to get out and alert the police. Another mistake he made was robbing another McDonald's only miles away hours earlier as they were closing. So there was a heavy police presence in the area, knowing the 2-year MO of the Roofman. When he was caught by the police, he didn't resist arrest and instead praised them and said, "You've done a really good job today."
Nice
So
job.
this guy sounds like a hell of a character, like, you know.
So what was his demeanour like? Are we saying he was physically very nice, sort of friendly?
Yeah, very friendly guy, very nice, and he didn't want to hurt anyone when he robbed places. Like I said, there was only
The
one
gun
occasion.
was loaded, though.
Yeah,
That's what I picked up on it. Like, he went in there prepared, but...
last resort.
He would have had the intention of using it if he needed to, was the problem there.
Yeah,
Seemed it.
exactly. And I think, I don't know for sure, but the pistol whip thing probably was someone who was, you know, trying to, you know, knock him down or, you know, just defend, basically. You know, you would imagine anyway. So yeah, Manchester was sentenced to 45 years in prison on charges ranging from robbery with a dangerous weapon to kidnapping, possession of burglary tools, and breaking and entering. But this is where the story gets interesting. So he spent the next 4 years at Brown Creek Correctional Institution, a medium security prison located in Anson County, North Carolina, where he was a model prisoner with 0 infractions on his record, which ultimately earned him a position in the prison's metal shop. While giving off this persona, Jeffrey would be noting down shift patterns of the guards, coming and going of vehicles, positions of security cameras, and even other prisoners' day-to-day tasks. In the summer of 2004, he was ready to make his escape. The metal shop where he and other inmates worked made various kitchen household items that were shipped out all over the country and would be collected by a truck which arrived on a set schedule each week. Jeffrey managed to obtain the measurements of the rails that ran along the underside of the truck and created a bed for himself from plywood, which would sit on top of the rails, and even painting it black and putting 2 pieces of cardboard either side of it to hide his head and his feet, to prevent the guards from seeing him when checking under the truck with mirrors. He also chose to carry this out on a rainy day, knowing the guards used to cut corners when it was wet. And on June the 15th, 2004, he became the first person in the prison's history to escape.
Wow. I've they're like hiding under the truck with the mirrors and all that. You see that in films and stuff, don't you? You know, it's crazy to think of someone do it.
But because he painted the underside and then he put cardboard sort of either side of by his feet and by his head, painted them the same color, all he had to do was jump up onto it, pull the 2 pieces of cardboard up, and it just looked like the underside of a lorry with a mirror on a rainy day. You know, dark, damp. Yeah. Guards didn't want to be out there long. They were just like, yeah, it's fine. So,
Dear. How did it say how long he had his spree for? How long he was? Because you said a two-year MO, didn't you?
So yeah, it was from 1998 to 2000 was his McDonald's rooftop burglary spree. It was 2 years he spent doing that. Yeah, he had a few close calls, but yeah, he got caught in that Belmont one. That was the one that led to his arrest. Because he got too greedy, in one night.
McDonald's just seems a very strange target.
It's because of how easy it was and how, because they were all franchised, they all had the same sort of schedule, type-ins. The floor plan was the same. He knew how to get in and out quick in different places and areas. It was just the easy option. He did rob a couple of, they said, video stores and grocery stores.
Oh.
But the main ones, like it even prompted the I think the CEO of McDonald's to call him brand loyal when they couldn't catch him. It's like, well, at least he's brand loyal, which is quite funny. Yeah. So after his escape from prison, Jeffrey decided to head 40 miles northwest to Charlotte, where he would set up his home inside Toys R Us.
What?
So, located in the Triangle Shopping Centre, Jeffrey would hide out in a small cubbyhole behind the bike rack, which was conveniently up against one of the walls, which allowed him to tunnel more space for himself to remain out of sight. In the beginning, he only dared to come out at night to get food, which he would eat primarily baby food from the baby section in Toys R Us to get his source of nutrition, while also riding the bikes around the store for exercise. Like he did in prison, he cased the store and noted down all the employees' shifts, camera locations, exit points, blind spots, and even set up baby monitors throughout the store to watch things. Like he had his own security network.
Wow.
He even began changing shifts of the employees to better suit his plans. And as time went on, he had enough of eating baby food that he would regularly go to Red Lobster. Rumours are that he would steal the video games from Toys R Us and then sell them to basically fund his, get money, effectively, because he couldn't rob Toys R Us just yet because he needed more information. So during this time, he also became involved with a church which was only a few hundred yards away from Toys R Us, where he went by the name of John Zorin, and soon became an active member of the congregation. He even started dating a woman named Lee, who he had met at one of the church's singles events. He would hang out at her apartment to play video games with her kids, and she loved that he wanted to spend so much time with them. When asked why they never go to his place, he replied with, "I have a government job that I can't tell anyone about, and I lived in a rented accommodation which is small, plain, sterile." But given his good nature and his personality, she didn't question it. He continued to do various charity work for the church and donate a lot of toys around Christmas time.
I wonder where you got it from.
What a character.
Yeah.
Did you say he changed the shifts of the employees?
Changed the shift plan?
Suit his... Well, like he'd write in the schedule or something.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I think it's like the jobs they do as well, so it keeps them out of like the bike area at certain times and things like that. Yeah. So he knew what times he could, potentially go. But he did have a camera network of baby monitors throughout the store, which is insane.
Has there not been like a movie made of this or anything?
No, like amazingly, no, not to my knowledge anyway. But there should be.
Yeah.
Trademark.
So it was at this time that he wanted to make improvements to his living conditions at the store because it had become very busy around the Christmas period and he was worried about being detected. This was when he realised that he could tunnel into the abandoned Circuit City and next door, the unit next door.
Is that like an electronics shop, is it?
Yeah, but it's abandoned. It's an old shop. No one's there.
Okay.
So he was able to tunnel into next door. So here he made a secret room under a stairwell that was described as a kid's paradise with games consoles, DVD players, posters on the walls, basically everything stolen from Toys R Us. He had set up more baby monitors and had piped in water from Toys R Us to have flowing water into there. He was becoming increasingly aware that he couldn't stay there much longer as employees were becoming aware that things were going missing and police were being called to investigate. On the 26th of December, he decided to put his heist into action.
Boxing Day.
However, things didn't go to plan. Like the first time he got caught, practically the same thing happened again, where an employee managed to get away and notify the police. This time, however, when the sheriff arrived, Jeffrey punched her in the face and stole her gun and ran through the store. He managed to get away through his trap doors that he created in the store, his little tunnel network, basically. However, the police did find his tunnel in the end when he got away, and they found a load of stolen merchandise in doing so. Amazingly, the room he created in Circuit City wasn't discovered until a week later. What they said they found amusing was that there was a lot of Spider-Man memorabilia around. He seemed to really like Spider-Man. There was Spider-Man 1 and 2 DVDs, Spider-Man video games. He even slept on Spider-Man bed sheets. Were his choice of there we go. So but yeah, now his photo was distributed in the local area and many were shocked to find that their church-going neighbour John Zorin was in fact the Roofman. Police were able to identify his identity from his fingerprints taken from the tunnels and the room that he made. This led to the discovery of Lee, who agreed to aid the police in his capture by inviting him over for his 40th birthday celebrations. Jeffrey's thinking was to quickly see Lee one last time and then flee the state. However, he was apprehended on sight.
Oh, fucking Lee.
What a narc.
Robbed him in.
Although police were relieved to catch him, they couldn't help but compliment him. They said, he's a dirtbag, but we can learn a lot from him. And another one said, like Gareth, this would make a great movie.
Yeah, totally would, yeah. Totally.
He now serves a 47-year sentence on charges including malicious use of explosives to damage property, burning in an unoccupied building, breaking and entering, possession of a firearm by a felon, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and prison escape. Unlike his first time in prison, he has racked up a couple of infractions with 2 attempts at escape in prison, unsuccessfully, obviously. His projected release date is December the 4th, 2036.
Oh.
And that is the story of the Roofman.
I like that. He's very tenacious.
Who do you reckon could play the Roofman if a film was made of it? Who'd be a good Roofman?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Danny
I don't
DeVito.
You'd have to have someone with a, you want a lot of charisma by the sounds of it, didn't you? Someone with a lot of charisma, like big personality.
Yeah.
Very
definitely.
eccentric, off the rails, loose cannon, but a big personality, like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just going to grab the
What was
channel that I actually
Jack
found
Black,
this on.
perhaps, is it?
Jack Black. I think, like, look at pictures of him. Like, I would have chucked up a couple of pictures in this while I was reading this out, but he's quite thin, quite a thin guy. I think you need to be if you're going to be going through all the tunnels and stuff like that. You know, quite a lean character. Like, but yeah, there's a channel called Crime Zone on YouTube, which I discovered this on, and they do a very good video on it. So that was the bulk of my investigation or notes were on from that channel.
Well, what was his name, Rich?
His name was Jeffrey Manchester. What's his full name?
Jeff with a J or G?
J. Jeffrey Allen Manchester. Sorry, I can remember.
Jeffrey Manchester, yeah, that's it.
Manchester's quite a unique surname, that is, as well.
Yeah, I guess in America, isn't there a lot of surnames with British town or city names?
Town surnames.
Who's the fella that what's his name? Done Punisher.
Oh, John Berthnell. He'd actually he would be a good one.
Yeah, skinny him down a bit. He'd be a good one.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Definitely. I have a feeling though, because like they said, his release date is 2036. So I reckon when he's released, someone's gonna be like, "We want to have a chat with you about what you did."
There's been no documentary, like as in like sort of, televised or whatever documentary on this at all, or.
I don't think so. There might be, but like, I came across this video on YouTube, which in itself is a documentary, I guess. And I just found it thoroughly interesting. And
it's weird. It's weird how such a unique sort of crime that's got a little something extra to it. It's not being picked up on. Like it's.
Yeah, I guess a lot of weird happens, doesn't it? And sometimes some of them get buried, but yeah, I thought this is like, as soon as I watched that video, I was like, this is the perfect SteegCast story, because these are the things that we love. So yeah, that's the Roofman. Like, it's a hell of a character.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It was a good story. I can't believe I never heard of it before. Like,
yeah,
I'm quite surprised.
I just baffled there's no sort of like popular documentary series on it or films or anything like that, really. Not that I know of, at least. Like, if there is,
yeah.
Funny you should mention that. There's a story that's back to Mr. Bolland again, because it's weird internet. He does strange, dark, and mysterious stories. He done this story about this guy that used to like watch this house throughout generations. He used to like send letters to the post owner, these families that moved this, claiming that don't damage the house, I'm watching the house. And there's a Netflix show about it recently called The Watcher. It's like true story. I haven't seen it yet, but apparently it's pretty good.
keep an eye out for that.
The Watcher.
Yeah.
And
I
also
like
have a look at
that
the Mr. Ballin one as well, because, like I've said before, he's like the best storyteller I've fucking seen on the internet. Like.
I'm surprised he hasn't done the Roofman. Now,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
you know, because I would have thought of everyone in the cast, you, Tom, would have heard about this. I thought you may have heard about it because it seems like something that
So,
would,
sounds perfect.
you know,
yeah.
You know, yeah. But yeah, there we go. It's a hidden gem.
Yeah. That's the
of
Roofman.
sorts. That's the Roofman. That is the Roofman.
Yeah, surprised I've never heard of that myself, to be honest.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that really concludes the cast. That's everything that we've talked about. We can apologise on Sean's behalf for him having to drop off, but you know, it is what it is. That's life with a child, I guess.
Family man, family way.
Family man.
Yeah.
But yeah, until next time, we have been SteegCast.
Hopefully we won't leave it as long next time.
Yeah, hopefully we won't leave it as long next time.
Yeah.
Check us a follow, check us a subscribe if you like what you hear, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you.
Bye.